An extreme cold snap sweeping across South Korea on the first working day after the Lunar New Year holiday. Flights finally resume on Jeju Island after heavy snow and strong winds caused cancellations overnight. South Korea's Hyundai Motor now takes up 10% of electric cars sold in major European countries, becoming the fourth biggest player in the industry in the region. And critical military support for Ukraine. Germany decides to send battle tanks and allows others to send German-made tanks too. An extreme cold snap is sweeping across South Korea on this first working day after the Lunar New Year holiday. Flights have finally resumed on Jeju Island after heavy snow and strong winds caused mass cancellations overnight. Our Shin-Young starts us off.
It's the first day after the Lunar New Year holidays, and overnight temperatures across South Korea dropped to their lowest levels for this season. On Tuesday morning, figures in Seoul dipped down to almost minus 17 degrees Celsius, a drop of 15 degrees from the previous day. However, temperatures on Wednesday dipped even further. Morning temperatures in Seoul dropped to as low as minus 18 degrees, while temperatures in Cheolwon in Gangwon-do province and Paju in Gyeonggi-do province plunged to over minus 20 degrees. Factoring in wind chill in the country's capital made it feel like minus 30 degrees. However, the Korea Meteorological Administration say that the temperature across the nation will start to rise from Wednesday afternoon. But cold weather is expected to last for a while with snow forecast for central regions and the country's southwestern Honam region on Thursday. Meanwhile, flights from Jeju International Airport are resuming on Wednesday morning. Over 70% of flights on Tuesday from Jeju Island were cancelled due to heavy wind and snow, which left around 40,000 passengers stranded. 25 extra flights have been added to accommodate 10,000 passengers who were subject to delays. However, as strong wind, snow, and cold wave alerts are still in place, passengers need to check their flight schedules as there could be some changes. Meanwhile, the government on Tuesday checked on the electric power supply situation as the demand for electricity and heating is expected to skyrocket across the nation following the Lunar New Year holiday. Park Il-jun, the second vice minister of Energy Ministry, visited a power plant and a substation in Seoul where he urged focus on operation and facility management. Shin-Young, Arirang News.
South Korea's survival in the international community depends on matching our system to the global standard. That's President Yoon during his first cabinet meeting back from Korea New Year holiday and a week-long foreign tour which took him to the UAE and Davos. Detailing the scope of the economic achievements made during his trip, Yoon asked for his government's efforts to bring the nation's investment environment up to par with the international standard to attract more foreign companies to South Korea. President Yoon also vowed to deal with these measures himself at related meetings. South Korea's Hyundai Motor now accounts for 10% of electric cars sold in major European countries, becoming the fourth biggest player in the industry in the region. Lee Eun-jin has the details.
In 2022, electric cars made by the Hyundai Motor Group were the fourth most purchased EVs in the top 10 main electric car sales market countries in the European Union. This is based on data for combined sales for battery electric vehicles, or BEV sales, in Norway, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Denmark, Ireland, and Finland. Those countries make up 64% of the BEV market in all of the EU. Hyundai Motor and Kia combined sold 96,988 electric vehicles in 2022, taking up 10% of the market, the fourth largest after Volkswagen at 25.6%, Stellantis at 14.1%, and Tesla at 13.4%. Geely and SAIC Motor, the two leading Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers, reached 8th and 9th places respectively in this specific European market sales category, while BYD Auto, in competition with Tesla for the number one global market share, only took 0.4%. Sluggish growth was also seen for Japanese electric car manufacturers. Toyota only sold 7,554 electric cars in the top 10 electric vehicle purchasing European countries, Mazda 3,921, and Honda 1,274. By car model, the top 3 purchased BEVs in this EU market were the Tesla Model Y with 78,017 sales, followed by 67,049 units of the Volkswagen ID.4, and the Tesla Model 3 with 49,645 sales. While for Korean-manufactured BEVs, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kona Electric were the 8th and 9th most sold vehicles, the Kia Niro ranked 14th, and the Kia EV6 was 19th. Industry analysts say that Korean-manufactured battery electric vehicles are doing well in a region where brand loyalty runs deep for a leading domestic Volkswagen-manufactured EVs. 이은진, Arirang News.
With South Korea's chip industry struggling recently, the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry is worried that if chip exports are worse than expected, economic growth could fall close to the 1% level. The Bank of Korea forecast in November that the country will see a growth of 1.7%. But according to the KCCI's report on Wednesday, if semiconductor exports fall 10% on year, economic growth is expected to drop by 0.64 percentage points. If chip exports drop by 20%, then economic growth will decrease by 1.27 percentage points. This is worrying as the Korea Institute for Industrial Economics and Trade has projected that chip exports could see annual growth of minus 9.9% this year. Now on to critical military support for Ukraine. After months of debate, Germany has decided to send battle tanks and allow other countries to send German-made tanks as well. The U.S. is also expected to send their own battle tanks. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced that his country has decided to send its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, while also allowing other countries to export the German-made tank. According to Germany's Der Spiegel, citing government officials, the decision comes as the country has been hesitant about providing support to Ukraine with the tanks over concerns it could escalate the conflict with Russia. Last Friday at a meeting of Western defense leaders in Germany, it appeared the U.S. and its allies had failed to convince German officials to send the tanks as part of its next round of military assistance. However, after further international pressure, Berlin has decided to send at least 14 Leopard 2 tanks. Poland will also provide 14 of the Leopard tanks, while the UK has already committed the same number of its Challenger 2 tanks. Meanwhile, Washington is also finalizing plans to send US-made Abrams tanks to Ukraine and could make an official announcement as soon as this week. According to officials familiar with the deliberations, the timing around the actual delivery of the tanks is still unclear, as it normally takes several months to train troops to use the tanks. Ukraine has long seen tanks as being vital for breaking through Russian lines, as well as neutralizing further Russian offensives this spring. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky believes about 300 Leopard tanks would help it defeat Russia. Modern Western tanks are seen as being superior to the Soviet-era tanks used by Russia. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
4 crew members have been rescued from a cargo ship that capsized in waters between South Korea and Japan early Wednesday morning. The Hong Kong-registered Jin Tian was carrying 22 crew members when he sent out a distress call from its location some 150 kilometers southeast of Jeju Island amid strong winds in the area. Joint rescue efforts between the South Korean Coast Guard and their Japanese counterparts are still underway to find missing 18 crew members. 14 Chinese and 8 Burmese nationals were reportedly on board the ship. The U.S. and its allies are watching and preparing for another large-scale provocations by North Korea ahead of a key state anniversary. Our defense correspondent Oh Soo-young has the details.
Washington is closely watching Pyongyang for signs of further advancement in its nuclear weapons program. According to Department of Defense spokesperson Pat Ryder in a press briefing on Tuesday, the United States is keeping a close eye for a potential North Korean nuclear test. This comes after months of speculation that the regime would soon be ready to conduct its seventh nuclear test after its previous round of testing in 2017. Ryder said such an action would be destabilizing for the region and that the US and its allies are preparing for the scenario. This comes amid reports that North Korea is also preparing to unveil its latest intercontinental ballistic missile, the Hwasong-17. Citing North Korea tracking website 38 North, Radio Free Asia reported that a suspicious object was detected at the Mirim military training ground where North Korean military personnel rehearse ahead of the regime's large-scale parades. The grounds also store heavy military weapons that are showcased at the main parade events. The latest satellite imagery shows a covered object about 27 meters long and 6 meters wide sitting near the secure vehicle storage area. This is presumed to be the Hwasong-17. It would be the North's biggest missile to date and the world's largest road-mobile liquid-fueled ICBM with a range of 15,000 kilometers, putting the continental US within reach. In addition to the covered object, 10 crates of various lengths were detected. 38 North says while the content is unknown, some of the crates are large enough to store a cruise missile. North Korea is expected to hold a massive military parade on February 8th to mark the 75th founding anniversary of its army. 오수영 Arirang News.
The former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has revealed that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un actually believes U.S. troops are needed in South Korea to protect him from China. Writing in his memoir published Tuesday, Pompeo told Kim that Chinese officials said Kim will be happy if American forces left South Korea. In response, Kim said China was lying, adding that he needed North Americans for his own safety and to prevent China from treating the Korean peninsula like Tibet and Xinjiang. For this reason, Pompeo added expanding U.S. military capabilities on the Korean peninsula won't bother North Korea at all. Pompeo frequented North Korea during the Trump administration that saw 3 historic summits between the two nations. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has announced its nominees for this year's Oscars, but decision to leave it didn't make the cut. It made the shortlist for the International Feature Film category back in December, but didn't make the final 5 nominees announced on Tuesday. Those nominees include Argentina 1985, which won a Golden Globe earlier this month. Asia will be getting its representation at the 2023 Academy Awards through Everything Everywhere All at Once, which has been nominated for 11 awards. As for decision to leave, it now awaits the BAFTAs next month. The South Korea's men's hockey team has reached the quarterfinals of the International Hockey Federation World Cup. The team, led by the coach Shin Seok-kyo, beat 2016 Olympic champions Argentina, India on Monday local time. They won 3-1 in a penalty shootout to reach the quarterfinals for the first time since 2010. Team Korea, ranked 9th in the world, would take on the Netherlands today at 7 p.m. local time for a place in the final 4. South Korea's startup company is three-dimensionally duplicating the real world into the digital world. The technology is used in a variety of ways, such as making 3D maps that are essential for autonomous driving. Jong-un has more.
LiDAR, or laser imaging detection and ranging sensors, are attached to the top of a car. These sensors spin 360 degrees and scan the area to collect spatial information. The three-dimensional road information the LiDAR collects is then moved to a virtual space on the computer. With artificial intelligence, data such as camera images, drones, and satellite air photographs are combined with the collected spatial information, and the real world is quickly duplicated into the digital world. A South Korean startup developed this digital twin technology.
It just looks like a map from afar, but if you zoom in, you can see that the map is composed of dots.
Every dot carries data on latitude and longitude. 3D high-definition maps made with such digital twin technology are already used in Gangnam and Sangam-dong, Seoul for testing autonomous driving.
3D spatial information is different from conventional 2D maps as they show information such as the shape of the road or facility locations with very high accuracy.
3D maps are needed not only for self-driving cars but also for urban aircraft mobility. This technology can also duplicate specific places and major attractions in South Korea, such as the Blue House, so they can be experienced in a three-dimensional virtual space.
The digital twin technology is used not only for industries, but also for simulations that detect information related to urban maintenance and repair. I think applying this technology to real life will lead to innovative changes.
A three-dimensional virtual city that changes in conjunction with the real city can be built with this technology if spatial information is updated in real time.
Our goal is to digitalize all the spaces we live in to create another world and use that digitalized world as a tool, a space that we can analyze to build a better reality.
With further development, the South Korean startup may not only duplicate space but also time. Jong-un, Arirang News.
A traditional market in Seoul has recently started an integrated delivery service that brings items to customers' doorsteps by the next morning. Vendors expect the service to drive up sales and influx of customers. Jo Sung-min reports.
Cheongyangi Traditional Market in the heart of Seoul. A customer is buying something from one of the fruit vendors.
사장님, 참외 한 박스 주세요. 네, 요거. 네, 배달 가능한가요?
But this is a new way of shopping. Once an order is taken, a QR code is struck on top of the item. A few moments later, someone arrives at the front of the shop, picks up the items in a cart, and goes to a small warehouse nearby. They then carefully sort the items according to which mode of transport will be used for delivery. Then they're put in a giant refrigerator until a driver picks them up. This fulfillment system has been newly implemented at this traditional market where a large-scale retailer is in charge of everything from receiving to sorting, storing, and shipping the products. Customers can now place their orders and have them delivered the next morning. And because it's fully integrated with all the different businesses in the market, it's also possible to grab items from different vendors and receive them in one batch.
There's no reason not to use it. If the quality is good, you can get things delivered.
The delivery service is available across all of Seoul and parts of Gyeonggi-do province. Vendors are hoping it boosts declining profits and the number of customers.
We try to raise our sales as much as possible through deliveries, but they can be costly and inconvenient. That's why we lost a lot of customers. We are expecting it to speed up deliveries.
While orders can be made by phone or direct visits, the market plans to install ways to receive orders online starting in January. 3 major traditional markets in Seoul will run the system before it's expanded to others nationwide. Jo Sung-min, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In the U.S. state of California, the Asian American community has been rocked by a second mass shooting in the space of a few days. At least 7 people were killed and 1 seriously injured in a mass shooting in California's Half Moon Bay near San Francisco on Monday local time. According to reports, the shooting took place over 2 locations. The victims were of Hispanic or Asian descent and were employed at a local mushroom farm. The suspect, a 66-year-old man of Asian descent working at the same location, has since been arrested after driving to a local police station. Authorities suspect the incident to be a case of workplace violence. Meanwhile, at least 1 person has been killed and several others injured in another mass shooting on Monday night in Oakland, California. Moving over to New Zealand now, as the country has sworn in a new Prime Minister. Chris Hipkins, the new leader of the Labour Party, has taken the helm. He will now hold the seat for 9 months until the next general election. The 44-year-old, who had been the country's COVID response minister until last July, has said his top priority is dealing with New Zealand's inflation pandemic. Hipkins replaces Jacinda Ardern after she announced her sudden retirement last Thursday, saying that she did not have enough energy to continue in the role. Ardern had served as the country's prime minister for 5 years. Scientists have a warning for humanity as they move the doomsday clock forward to 90 seconds to midnight. The clock, an indicator of how long humanity has until planet Earth becomes uninhabitable due to human influence, has been moved closer to the midnight tipping point. Experts at the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists on Tuesday announced they had moved the clock forward by 10 seconds. The time was pushed forward in large part because of the war in Ukraine and nuclear threats made by Russia. This, in addition to North Korea's increased missile testing, China's expansion of nuclear capabilities, as well as climate change, biological threats, and disruptive technologies. The clock was previously set at 100 seconds to midnight, a position it had been at since 2020. American Michaela Schifrin has broken the all-time women's record for the most World Cup ski wins. She got her 83rd win in the giant slalom in Italy on Tuesday, breaking the record previously held by Lindsey Vonn. The victory also means that the two-time Olympic gold medalist is now only 3 World Cup wins shy of the overall men's and women's World Cup record, held by Sweden's Ingemar Stenmark. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. A cold spell from Siberia hit Korea yesterday on the last day of the Seollal holiday with a cold wave warning in place pretty much everywhere. Even Busan saw lows below -10 degrees Celsius this morning. Meanwhile, Jeju Island is having an even tougher day with heavy snow, and 5 to 10 centimeters of further snow is in the forecast there throughout the day today. Daily highs are slightly higher compared to yesterday, so we're topping out at -6 degrees Celsius, Daegu at -1 under sunny skies in most parts of the country except on Jeju Island. Now, the cold snap will ease a little tomorrow, but nationwide snow is in the forecast across Korea. Central parts of the country will see heavy snow of 2 to 7 centimeters, and Incheon and the west coast could see more than 10 centimeters of snowfall tomorrow. So rough winter days continue this week. Southern parts of the country are set to receive more snowfall at the end of the week, so please take good care of yourself and stay safe out on the roads. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
Thank you so much for watching. Do stay tuned. More news on the way at 2 p.m.